In today's episode of the Wild Party podcast, I caught up with my longtime friend and entrepreneur visionary, Cheryl Sutherland, the founder of PleaseNotes, a transformation company providing positive affirmation products and workshops to help manifest your best life. Cheryl's journey is a masterclass in turning passion into purpose. She went from feeling unfulfilled in a 9 to 5 to launching a thriving business centered on affirmations, mindset shifts, and personal growth. Cheryl shares how she took PleaseNotes from a single Kickstarter product to a global brand, and why listening to your gut is key in business, and how she's using digital marketing to reach new audiences. Stay tuned to the end for a special discount just for Wild Party podcast listeners. Let's get the party started. Welcome to the Wild Party podcast, where we celebrate the visionaries behind vegan, ethical, and sustainable business. In each episode, we'll dive deep into their journeys, uncovering the why behind their mission-driven business. I'm your host, Stephanie Lahart. Tune in with me for passionate discussions about overcoming challenges, innovative marketing strategies, and the power of using business as a force for good. So whether you're an entrepreneur seeking guidance or a conscious consumer wanting to support impactful brands, join us as we explore the stories behind the businesses that are changing the world for the better. Let's get the party started. So I'm already telling you guys this is going to be a super fun episode because I'm literally talking to one of my best friends. On today's show, we have Cheryl Sutherland, the founder, CEO, and brains behind PleaseNotes, which is, I'm going to let her describe exactly what the company is, but she has changed my life in more ways than one. And I'm not afraid to say I'm kind of like on the side of like being so much her fan that I'm like stalkerish, but she's always known this about me, so it's okay. Welcome to the show, Miss Cheryl. Thank you for being on the Wild Party podcast.
Honestly, I have to be clear. Like, I just had a moment where I just felt so grateful to have you as my friend. And like, I was gonna cry and I was like, put it back in. Um, because not only am I just overwhelmed with how amazing of a person that you are and that I get to call you mine, but then I also am very cognizant of the fact that not many people get to have friends as good as the friends that I have. And I'm very, very, very grateful for that. So, hi, thank you for having
Hi.
me on your podcast.
Yes, and no matter the distance, girl, even when you move to another country, you know I'm never going to let you go. All right, let me backtrack here. Let me catch everybody up with how we first met. So, Miss Cheryl actually predates Boomtown Marketing. In fact, she was there as I was forming my company because back in it was like I think 2017, I had gotten a space at WeWork, got my first little office, was in the process of launching my marketing business, which I was about to name Boomtown Marketing. And I remember walking into WeWork into the lobby area and seeing this gorgeous, tall, beautiful woman with this head of hair that I'm still envious of. And I was like, who is that? And they're like, oh, that's Cheryl. She has this great business called PleaseNotes. And I was like, literally walked up to her and I was like, you didn't know it at the time. And I'm like, you are going to be my friend. And I pretty much like attached myself to you.
You did say that out
Did
loud.
I?
You're like, I don't know if you know this, but you're going to be my friend. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. But literally, like the whole time we worked together, we were pretty much attached to the hip. We did everything together. And I tell everybody, go watch the, documentary on WeWork. It was exactly like that, but I only saw it from the good side. It was so much fun. It was like business college for me. So Cheryl and I got to spend our days together, our weekends and our evenings networking together. And it was a great journey because, like I said, I was just starting my business, but Cheryl had beat me to the punch because she had already launched PleaseNotes and she did it in a way that I'm still in awe of because she basically said, I've got this idea and I'm going to launch it on Kickstarter. And next thing you know, 10 years later, almost 10 years, your business is thriving. So congratulations. Welcome to the show. Why don't you tell our audience exactly what that looked like when you had this idea for this amazing company and describe what PleaseNotes is, and then how you did launch it on Kickstarter.
For sure. So let's go back, way back. back into time. So, I had been living in California. Originally, I'm from Canada, and I had been working for this company. And the tricky thing is, like, I've been involved with at that point for about like 4 or 5 years. I'd been involved in personal growth. And one of the biggest reasons that I moved to California was to work for a company that was led by somebody who does this work. And I was like, how amazing would it be to work for a women led company that is pouring into themselves in this way? This would be like amazing. Turns out it wasn't. So I had decided, you know what, I don't like this isn't serving me anymore. I left. But I had noticed like where my self-esteem and confidence was. And I was so frustrated because at the time I had spent like, I don't know, probably like at least $30,000 on myself for like all these courses and workshops and all this training to just get right back to where I was before. And so I was walking with a friend, and I had written out this list of what I want in a business. Like I wanted to be something I could do wherever I want, where it's really helping people in like a deep, meaningful way. I could be on like a yacht somewhere. I don't want to exchange time for money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then I was like, well, what if there was like a way I could surround myself with affirmations and then sticky notes? That just kind of made sense. So that was the first iteration of the business, the first product that I ended up creating. And the sticky notes had a different affirmation on each page. We ended up going through a rebrand, doing some changes, and then continued to add on to the product line because I did not move to California to sling some sticky notes. So I ended up adding on things like our guided journal. And I initially did it because I was like, I need a way to sell more sticky notes. Turns out that the journal ended up being much more of a draw for people than said stickies. And then just continue adding on to the line. As you had spoken to, we actually ended up launching all of our new products using Kickstarter. Why? After the initial purchase of all the products and like having them sitting, like all the sticky notes and having them sitting in my garage, I was like, this is hard. Like to have all this product, have to house it, you have to put all this money up front. This is for the birds. So I was like, well, what if I had a way to test it that also allowed me to market it at the same time, making sure that people actually want this, that I'm able to sell this, that there's actual draw. So that first Kickstarter campaign, which you got to witness, I was like basically living in a one of those call boxes in that we work, talking to people every day, sending emails, da 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 da. I ended up raising about 150% of my goal. Ended up launching the first PleaseNotes Clarity Journal, and then every single time I've launched a bigger item, it's always been through a Kickstarter campaign. Again, just making it easy for myself as well. And then now that we're this year is actually year number 10. We've expanded by listening to our clients, asking what they need, and then being very conscious of some of the industry trends. We've even came out with a DEI notebook as well that was very well received, that had a matching workshop. We continue to do workshops. I continue to do speaking. And then even little things like this lovely sweater that I'm wearing that reminds me that Delulu is in fact the Salulu. What ways can I support people in not only knowing, but owning the fact that they can have anything that they dream and desire? That's basically what we're about and what I intend to continue letting people know for the rest of my life.
Wow, I really love that you said that. And that is such a big statement. And, like I had always said, since we first met, it's like you have this glow about you. Like people are naturally attracted to you. And it's not just because you're very tall. I'm sure that I mean, how tall are you, Cheryl? What are you, 5'10", 5'8"? I mean, you're much taller than me.
I'm 5'10" without the bun. With the
Okay.
bun, I'm a solid 6 foot. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, that is part of my obsession with you because you guys know I'm 5'2". So I see this 5'10" looking living doll over there. Like she just have this glow about you. Like people want to know what you're about. And I think that really did stem from maybe the fact that you had done all this internal personal work. So when you decided at that point, it's like, hey, I want to be able to get this positivity out there and help people, I guess, how do you want to say on their life journey, right? On their own personal development. I could see how you wanted to start it with a product like the sticky notes because it's something simple and easy and fun. And I do remember running up to your office my first time and buying all the sticky notes and buying the window decals and everything because it was such an easy way to bring positivity into my life. And so with that said, so when you were first, deciding like I want to start this company that's basically going to help empower other people to live their best life. You said you started with sticky notes and you made it sound very easy, but as an entrepreneur, we know that's not easy. So how did you first go about, creating your product, sourcing the product, deciding like what exactly you were going to offer, like if it was going to be sticky notes, like how does somebody go out and say, well, I'm going to build this on a sticky note platform, but where do you get your sticky notes? How do you get them created? How do you decide on the design? What did that look like for you, that whole creative process?
I love this question because um even just saying that some things are difficult, perhaps it's just who I am, but when you said that I was like, no, it just made sense. And I think that what we do often as people is we get bogged down in things and we're thinking, oh, should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? Da, 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 instead of just listening to our intuition from the jump. So I knew that when I got this idea and the way that it felt, I'm like, oh, this is what it is. And I'm really grateful that like we have the internet and so many different ways that we can actually create things, that it made it really easy to not only find a manufacturer, but I knew exactly what I wanted the sticky notes to look like. I knew what design I wanted to have. And so I actually just went ahead and drew it out. I wanted a 3x3 sticky note. There's going to be a different affirmation or inspirational quote at the top. There's going to be a different design at the top of them as well. And then like, who do I know that does sticky notes? Well, Bic, of course. If my brand is a high-end brand, of course I'm going to go with the top of top, right? So I went to them, had conversations, ended up like figuring out the pricing, all of these different things. But I had also had experience not only in sales, but then also procurement. And so with that experience, I was able to like figure out what I wanted to do, create a request for quote, and then get these bids from all these different companies and say, okay, well, if this is the price I'm going to pay for this, this is what I have to charge in order to make a profit, and then kind of work through it that way. I was all, and perhaps this is just like a thing that I have. I've always been very able to see what it is that the end result is going to be. I want to even get into, and anybody that's making a product based business, you should think about, okay, what is the UX? Like, how do I want people to experience my product? What is the feeling that I want to leave them with? Where do I anticipate them using that? And that's also going to feed into your design components too.
Yeah, and that's always amazed me right from the beginning when I, first was introduced to your sticky notes because that was the first product I saw. It was so thoughtful and intentional. I was always like, wow, this looks like this took like years of planning because like your designs, I guess by the time I had run in with you, which honestly I think was only maybe a year after you did or a couple months after you did the Kickstarter. So you were new, but you already knew, like you said, exactly what you wanted it to look like. And not only that, how you wanted it to be received on the consumer end, like the feeling people would get. And I
Mm-hmm.
just remember, always like walking into your office and it just being like this beautifully laid out display of products that I'm like, how did this girl think up all this stuff? Because to me, it felt like it must have been years in the planning. And then, finding out, wow, you just launched this. I was like, this is something that has been inside you for a long time. So with
Mm-hmm.
that said, like the sticky notes for me, let me just tell you my experience with them. They were at one of those things that was like at the perfect place at the perfect time. So like I said, I was just in the process of launching my own business. And, when I found, this sticky note product that you had and with the affirmations, I love them so much because it really did give me that emotional boost that I needed each day to be able to do the stuff I needed. And then I think it was, wait, were you already working on the journals by the time we met? Or
I
the
feel
sticky?
like I feel like I was, and I feel
No,
like
you were, because I did get
yeah.
journals immediately. Okay. Okay. Because we
Mm-hmm.
are going to talk about the power of journaling in a second. So, okay, so
Oh,
you had,
okay,
oh,
spicy.
yeah. So you had the journals, you had the sticky notes going. And, like I said, from what I was seeing from just the consumer side, I was like, this is very well thought out. And not only that, she understands what I need in my life. It was kind of magical. And then as I looked around me, people were having such a similar experience. So, when you were talking about like creating these sticky notes, how did you really decide like what were these motivational or affirmations you were going to use? Because you had a ton of them ready to go and they were different on every sticky note and in the journals. And I'm still like, wow, how are you always, I guess, sourcing these amazing affirmations that you utilize for your products?
To be honest, it's usually things that I need to hear. or things that like I'll say to myself, or things that I've heard from other people that it's just like, in this moment, this is what I need to move the needle forward. So, like, let's say, for example, now with the this version of the sticky notes, this iteration, it's three different types, but they have three different themes. So there's cheeky, that's a little bit more playful. There's the confident, which is just more messages of like grounded, expansion, courage, and then of course the carefree. So it's a little bit more joyful, a little bit more light, a little bit more like joy, a little more ease, right? And so sometimes I need to hear something where it's just like, you're amazing at anything and everything that you do. Just like, yes, girl, it is, right? Sometimes I really need to hear, like, I can create anything I desire. Sometimes I just need to play a little bit more. And then so those are kind of the three places that I wanted people to have more of. I also wanted to be cognizant of the fact that there's a lot of people out there that are creating a lot of really cool stuff. A lot of it is very playful. A lot of it is a very sarcastic. A lot of it is like got a little bit more shock value and throwing in more swears and those sort of things. And I was very conscious of like I wanted to be like a very clean, uplifting, playful brand. So it's fine. I know that if I had chosen to, throw in a bunch of swear words and call everybody bitch all the time in all of my journals, yes, I probably would have sold more, but that wasn't what I wanted. And I think that's one of the most important things when you're building a business like this is be very clear on what you're creating and how you're creating and how to stay in integrity with that as you build out new products and services. One thing that I was going to say is when you're asking me about the different quotes on each page and the different affirmations, again, I'm very conscious of what I had not seen in the personal growth space. I had not seen a lot of women. I had not seen a lot of women of color. I had not seen a lot of gay people or trans people, or like there wasn't a lot of variety. It was like Socrates and a lot of these old Caucasian men who, God bless them, I love them, but I don't see my journey reflected in their words. So being able to pull stuff from people like Michelle Obama or Zendaya or Serena Williams or even James Baldwin and like just all these people, I want people to know that everybody starts in the same place. And for the most part, mindset wise, can start in the same place and look at how they've grown. Look at what they've chosen to do with their lives and put their own little razzle dazzle. And you might really connect with Kobe Bryant. You might really connect with J. Cole. And that is the whole thing, is like making yourself be seen and reflected in the content that I'm creating.
Yeah, and it's great that you said that you really saw a need in the marketplace and a way that you could fulfill it. Because you're right, there's a lot of motivational stuff out there that takes the route of like they're going to use cuss words or they're going to be a little bit more aggressive or, the bro culture or whatever. And obviously for me, that never resonates. I'm not that kind of person. It never feels good to me, to approach it from, I'll say like the aggro mode. It's like, no, I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
call myself a bitch because I wouldn't call somebody else a bitch. Like that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
resonate with me at all. So I love the positivity in everything that I was seeing in your products and your journals and everything. I'm like, because that's how I approach life. So I think you
Mm-hmm.
were dead on, with there was a market for that, because I am the market. And like I said, I would see other people having the same reactions. I'm like, that's so great. And I'll tell you, like, I don't even buy books now if like there's a cuss word on the cover. That's how like just kind of it's so off-putting to me. It's like I want positivity because I believe that if you have negativity in there, it seeps in. And the power
Mm-hmm.
of manifestation, as we talked about offline earlier, is real. And we're going to get into
Mm-hmm.
that. But let's go back to the Kickstarter for a second. So you had this
Mm-hmm.
idea of what you wanted to launch, and you were going to launch it yourself. So it was totally self-funded. So when you did the Kickstarter and you started to have some momentum with the products and getting it out there, how did you know you were ready to take it to the next step of maybe increasing your product line or even, expanding your audience? Because I know you've done a ton of trade shows and really getting yourself out there. Like you have not been shy and hiding yourself behind doing just an online launch. And I think a lot of people get stuck there. So how do you know when you're ready to take that next step of like, I'm going to really market this hard and push to a bigger audience and not be afraid of like, how do I fulfill all these orders?
Great question. And I'm really glad that you see me as like somebody that's like, yeah, I market hard. I'm like, no, there's so many things I need to do. So thank you for that. I think initially there's when I was thinking about, let's say, for example, the journal serves of the original journal, which is now called the Clarity Journal, had a very specific point. That journal was created to help you figure out who you are, what you want to create, and what brings you joy. So you can start doing that in the day to day and serve as a repository for like your thoughts, feelings, emotions, you manifesting things, et cetera, et cetera. However, there's other things that people really need to work on and that they haven't had the chance to really learn a lot about. One of the things that I love about all of my products is I like to make sure that if you get something that you get like in-depth learning or education on the product or on the subject at hand. So even with my manifestation planner, it gets into like, what is manifestation? Why do you want it? Why hasn't it been working for you? All these different things so that you can start using it in like a very concrete way. So I say that to say that I started off with the clarity journal, which was great, but then I noticed that there was a space of if you're manifesting things, if you're looking to create things, if you're looking to just be brave and start doing more things in the world, you have to feel safe. One of the things that help you feel safer is having gratitude because when you're able to tune into all the great things that are always happening, not only do they increase, but then you're able to say, like, no, things are good. I have the ability to stretch a little bit more. So that's why I created the gratitude journal. And then, of course, manifestation planners, all that sort of stuff came afterwards. A lot of it is, again, just being asked to do more stuff. I had been speaking to like a very big bookstore up here in Canada about having my stuff. It's basically the equivalent of like your Barnes and Noble. It's called Chapters. And I had snagged a conversation with one of the buyers, and I was like, "Listen, this is the Clarity Journal. Like, I don't know, it's so nice, et cetera, et cetera." I'm like, these are all the different colors that it comes in. These are my sticky notes. And she's like, "Yeah, but we need more SKUs." And I was like, "Okay, cool, cool, cool." So I need to make more stuff. So I tried to launch 4 new journals. The gratitude one stuck. And then now I'm continuing to add on more things. And then it's actually in my schedule to go back to them again and say, like, hey,
Well, speaking of product SKUs, if you guys are watching the video version, you will see I have a plethora of journals over here because I think I've bought every single one. In fact, I buy so many from Cheryl, some of them aren't even out of the wrappers yet. And here's why. Because, and I had mentioned this to you before, that, I've always been a writer and I've always journaled and everything. And so when I first was introduced to your journals, I'm like, oh, let me buy them all. This is great. They're pretty. They're cool. But what I didn't realize was how powerful they were because I would write an entry and then get to the bottom, and you always have a motivational quote at the bottom of the page. And every single time, Cheryl, whatever I've just written about, I look at the quote at the bottom. I'm like, oh my God, it directly relates to what I wrote about. Speaking to the power of manifestation itself, and you really introduced me, I think, even more to this world of like how your thoughts really create things. And, we're both
mm-hmm,
fans of the whole Abraham Hicks universe. What you think about is what you manifest. And that includes your business as well. So it doesn't surprise me now to watch your business grow because you have always seen it. Like you saw what it could be, even when we were sitting in WeWork, getting our free lunches and just being excited for that. What do you think then's been the most effective marketing strategy for getting your products in front of customers besides just the website? But let's talk a little bit of how you really utilize like in-person events and that networking, because you've gotten even in high level gift bags and stuff. Like people know you. You've been in Oprah magazine.
have I? I'm pretty sure that's just on my vision board.
I thought that you were actually in what was the gift guide you were in though?
Oh, I was on Fox Good Morning LA. I've been in the QuickBooks Intuit gift guide. I've been in InStyle magazine. Maybe that was the one.
Maybe, but you've been in a lot of gift guides that you were even like, I can't believe that they are approaching me for this. So talk about again, like what was your effective, like what do you think are your most effective marketing strategies to make sure that people are, finding out about PleaseNotes and the power of your products?
I mean, honestly, again, I'm my own worst enemy. And I think that everything that I do, it's just like not that great. So again, like what you see and what I see may be the same thing, but perception is different. So as an entrepreneur, please be kind to yourself because you're doing a great job, right? You might think that you're not doing a job. Everybody out here is like, wow. So I say all that to say, the in-person events have been really good for me only because I have a particular sort of razzle dazzle, which right? People love me, and then therefore it translates to them also wanting to take a piece of me home, which they can through my products and services. And I think my my success in person has been because I haven't figured out how to do the online component. And my success in person is because my product provides a feeling and a transformation that you can feel when you're with me, or if I'm talking to you, or if I'm speaking on stage. And makes it sense, like it makes it feel like, yes, I want a part of that. I will buy a journal, or I will buy some sticky notes, or I will gift this to my child who I feel like will appreciate this. And then as a result of that, people are like, oh, you need to talk to Cheryl from PleaseNotes, or oh, your PleaseNotes, like, oh, I've seen your face before. Like I was at this event the other day and they're like, I know you, but I don't know where I know you from. Like TV, probably. I don't know, but I feel like that is just such a blessing to be able to have that. And that innate power it is one of my superpowers. So I wouldn't say to attempt to duplicate that. I would say find out what is the thing that people always say about you. Do you make them feel safe? Do you provide them some sort of whatever it is that you do for people? Lean into that particular power and see what can I do to make my business more successful by using that. Some people just really love the way you make decisions. Some people love the way that you feel so grounded and like you just know what you want, right? Like even this person I'm talking to now is just very secure in who he is. And it just gravitates everybody. Like he could say some mess and everyone's like, cool. Cause I know that you know what you're doing and it feels really good. Like I feel safe with you. Done.
Yeah. Well, you said that you are not successful doing marketing online, but that is not true. So, first of all, your website, which I know you created yourself back in the day on the Shopify platform, is really great. I think the way that you present stuff is amazing. It tells the story. But more importantly, you and I have worked on your social media strategy over the years. And let me tell you, you are one of the first people that I really, developed a social media strategy that I feel like you took it to heart. You ran with it, you developed it, you made it your own, and your Instagram now is incredibly popular. And it's not just because it's pretty pictures, like you really provide a way for people to, interact with the beautiful community that you have developed. So I know you go on there live quite a bit. You have some video and things like that. And it really, I think, helps to get people introduced to what you're offering with Please Notes, because not only, do you have the journals, which is like a physical product, you now have these online workshops and things like that. So the one thing that I really like about the journals is that inside it actually tells you how to use them. So let's talk a little bit about how these workshops now are in addition to the physical product and what it's really been able to help build your business.
Mm-hmm. So my big thing is all around value, right? And people in marketing and sales have said this for so long, like people will pay whatever you want them to pay as long as the value makes sense. So I understand that things are different now, and people are making a little less money, might not have as much to spend in certain places. But I want to make sure that if you get something from me, you not only feel good about it, but you feel like you're getting your money's worth. And so not only having the workbook is great if you choose to use the workbook. I also understand that people learn in different ways. I'm very much an experiential person when it comes to learning. So, how do I make this easy? How do I make this fun? How do I help you create this habit that you know you want to have, like going to the gym or eating your vitamins? How do I make this easy for you? So by having that additional workshop, it not only adds that additional layer of value, but then that an additional layer of like oh, even if I get this journal, it's not going to just sit there with my other stack of journals. Like this is different. Also, let's be honest, I have a lot of retail partners. Whatever it I can do to help them sell my stuff easier, I will do. Right. So having that additional bit of added value. Lastly, one of the things that I am also cognizant of is that you need to have that sort of like habit, that commitment that you can drip drop on. So that's why I ended up creating my subscription service so that people can set up, and then you get a month worth of journaling prompts and an affirmation track from me. So you're still getting a little bit of me that you can carry around with you wherever you go and still stay on the right path of giving to yourself, exploring yourself, discovering yourself, but then also being true to yourself in this way too.
Yeah, and it's that added accountability that you're right, just adds so much more because anybody can go and buy any journal, any basic journal, and be like, oh, well, I have a journal and I write in. But to have, the guidance that your journals provide to really be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's write about this today, or this is the theme, or how do you feel when you do this? I think the prompting is really for me what made such a difference because I previously, before I started using your journals, I basically was keeping like a diary, which a lot of times was just to list the negative shit that happened in my day. And then I found it's like, no, you focus on these other things. Let's talk about, what you want to happen or how you would like this to play out or how what this makes you feel. And I think really writing more from feelings was the big game changer for me. So I had mentioned earlier that we're going to talk about the power of manifestation because I shared with Cheryl before we started recording. I said, I really have to watch how powerful manifestation can be because I had a mantra over the last year or two about this perfect person I wanted to meet. And I had these five very specific things I kept saying over and over, which I'm not going to repeat here because I don't want to manifest that person again. But I kept saying, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. And don't you know, that person showed up in my life. And he literally was these five things. And then I said, "Well, Cheryl, I actually ended up ending the relationship because I realized although he had these five things, that wasn't actually what was most important to me." So, you have to be really intentional when you're trying to create this perfect life. So, doing these manifestations, that it really is the stuff that's most important to you because this person will show up and you're like, "Oh, that was exactly what I asked for, and that was exactly what was not right for me." So, choose your manifestations wisely, people, because it will show up and you have no one to blame but yourself. So, with that said,
Yourself.
let's talk about what is the future vision for you and PleaseNotes. Like, what's the next thing you're working on, the manifestations that you are really envisioning for where you're taking your company?
Yeah. So, I one of the things that I know about manifesting is along the journey, you have to have that contrast so you know what you do want and you know what you don't want. So even with you manifesting this person, the universe gave you exactly what you wanted, and then now you know what you do want, and now you know what you don't want. So you can ask a little bit differently next time. So for me, what I do want is having a highly profitable company where I can just really settle into doing the things that I love doing. I love creating new products. I love designing them. I love talking about them. I love selling them. And I love being able to not be tied to my business. And so, with that, being able to go away to the Caribbean for 6 months if I need to, I want to winter somewhere warm and then come back and do my razzle dazzle and then go, right? I feel like there's just such an opportunity for your business to work for you versus you working for your business. And that's the next level that I'm getting into 2025. So with that, that is going to look like you'd be very proud of me. So Stephanie was my first person that I ever tried to do like Facebook ads or Google ads and all that. And I was like, like so scared. And I try something and I was like, I'm wasting $5 a day. It's just like, Cheryl, we have to test like casting. So now that it's more expensive, I'm doing it now. And I really truly believe that marketing and like finding out getting this digital marketing component is one of the big keys to me having that dream that I desire. Not even that dream, having that version of my life that is coming to fruition and coming a lot quicker. And then also, something that came up. So I actually did like a little voice recording. I was like, hey, my name is Cheryl Sutherland. I'm the founder of PleaseNotes. It's like December 31st, 2025. And I'm so happy and grateful for my life. Like, not only was my business so profitable this year, we ended up doubling sales again. That we ended up doing a lovely collaboration with like Oprah and Tabitha Brown, and it felt really, 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 really good working with these people. We finally launched like this new line with the WNBA, and then I actually got approached by the O Network to have my own TV show. So I'm going through, I'm just like blah 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 blah, and I was like, TV show? When did I decide I wanted a TV show? Do you know the amount of people that have been saying like, Cheryl, you need to be on TV? Why do you not have your own TV show? Like, blah, blah, blah. And then, but this has just been coming up since I said it. So when we're talking about manifestation, just again, being very clear on what you want, but then being open to it taking you in a new direction. I know for myself, one of the things that I kind of struggled with was knowing my business was not where I wanted it to be. It wasn't at that place where I can just be like, oh, look, I'm successful and like chill. And I understand that like the sticky notes didn't take off the way that they needed, that I wanted it to, because I needed to create the journals. And the journals didn't take off the way that I wanted it to, because I needed to create the workshops. And so this is the way that the universe is trickling this information, this next step for me, by saying, okay, this isn't the level of success you want here. You need to keep going. And I think, and it feels like that next level is getting into more media. So yeah, that's me.
No, I believe that and I support that because you've done quite a bit of public speaking over the years. I know even when, we were together in our WeWork days and after, you've been invited to many stages to be a presenter or to be, the what would you call it? The ringleader? No, what's that called?
Oh, MC. Yeah.
The MC, that's it. Yeah, because you've
Yeah.
done like the Superwoman events, I think they were called as the MC. So I
Yeah.
definitely see you going into that role. It wouldn't surprise me if you did, have your own show. In fact, we can talk about how to launch your own show together on YouTube if you would like. But that is, girl, I just want to support you. But, I think, with all these things that you're saying, I definitely see that for you because you've already done it. I think maybe you've even forgotten some of the stuff you've done because you've done so
Yeah.
much.
I've
Uh,
done a lot.
yeah. But with that said, so, this show is my motivation for doing this show is because I wanted to give people out there who were thinking of starting a business or maybe just starting their business, a role model to say, look, this is how this person did it and this is how you could do it too. So I
Mm.
would love it if you could just share one success story and then maybe one learning experience with our audience that you really, in your business you're like, wow, that made a difference. So let's start with a learning experience and then we'll do the success story because we'll end on a high note.
Mm. Well, one learning experience is don't try to push things into place when it doesn't feel right. If it feels like, again, pushing, and not like how do I say, not like a pushing on like when you're on the gym, at the gym, and you're pushing a weight and it's just like right in that sweet, and you're there's that tension. If it feels more like you're forcing something that you needed to happen from a space of like fear or whatever, just let it go. Because what tends to happen is the opposite of what you want. There's a reason that there's that resistance there, and just to be okay with honoring that. Uh, there's been a couple different situations that happened for me where I'm like, no, I need this to happen in order for my business to grow. And then I could be partnering with a specific subscription service, or sorry, with a subscription service that ended up stealing all of my products, not paying me. That water store in West Hollywood that ended up being run, they were run by assholes, and then ended up not paying their rent, not paying their staff, and then they ended up getting locked out, and all of my product was in there. Or even partnering with the wrong person and potentially losing a friendship. So there was somebody that I thought we were really close friends, kind of like even a business mentor. We went ahead and we were supposed to do a product together. And then just the terms that they laid out were completely incorrect. And I was surprised that it was so bad. And then, of course, with that, she ended up just being like, well, I can't do this. I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry. I'm not going to let you screw me over. And that was a time where I had to stop and I had to listen and be like, no, I have to listen to my gut, even if I lose this person. And I did. But I'm also not poor and resentful. One success that I will lean into. Oh, there's so many. Oh, I love that I could say that. But one success that I will lean into is just asking for support or asking, like, hey, this is what I'm about. This is where I'm going. If you know of anything or if you hear anything, like, I'd love to partner with people and just being excited. Like, um, I ended up going to something and then I got referred to speak on a panel for Dress for Success. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I've been working with Dress for Success for probably about like the last 6 or 7 years. And it's been super, super fun. That's a lie, probably the last 2 or 3. And then even little things like just following my intuition. Like there's been programs that I've applied to that I'm like, oh no, like I don't meet the qualifications. And instead of disqualifying myself, I let them disqualify me. And then I ended up going through that and then winning a grant as a result too. So like honestly, just really listening to your gut is the thing that's going to take you to that next level and trusting yourself in that way.
Yeah, you're so right. I mean, not only, following your gut, like you said, trusting your intuition, but also just accepting that not everything goes, perfectly in business because you've had your ups and downs. I've had my ups and downs in business, and that's just goes, with the territory. But it is all about being able to wake up the next day, open up your journal or get your sticky note, put it on your bathroom mirror and be like, I'm going to do this again. And that's really what sets us apart as entrepreneurs, being the ones that say, no, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to try that. You can't keep
Mm-hmm.
me down. In fact, I often
Mm-hmm.
refer to myself as the unsinkable Molly Brown, which you probably have no idea who that is. Historical figure.
Isn't it Molly Schmidt? Wait, isn't that a TV show?
No, no, she was a real person. She was a real person, and she got the nickname the unsinkable Molly Brown. For because she was on the Titanic. She obviously survived, but then she had this whole lore about her. But anyway, I consider myself, I'm the unsinkable Molly Brown. You can't keep me down, and you, I feel like, have that same motivation of like, no matter what happens, you're like, I'm gonna wake up and try this again because nobody can do it like I can do it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I love about you. And I think that's probably why I was just so attracted to you in the first place because I saw somebody that I knew would have a similar, I think, life experience as me. Yeah, let's end
I
with
love
that. Um, so we did mention earlier, perhaps because I'm such a fan of your journal and I want my audience to get them as well. You said you might have a little coupon for us or a little discount code.
Yeah, I certainly do, but only for those that are in that wild party.
The Wild Party Podcast.
Wild party. So if they go ahead and head over to the website and use the code WILD, they will get 15% off their next purchase.
That is fantastic. And Valentine's Day is coming up. Um, well, the holidays in general are always around. It might be somebody's birthday. But like I said, I cannot speak highly enough of the sticky notes and the journals, which I'm now holding up again because I'm such a fangirl. Because literally every time I write something, I read through the journal or I look at a quote or I look at a prompt, I'm like, it's exactly what I needed to hear at that time. And it's so
Mm-hmm.
crazy how that keeps happening. So I think you are not only on to something, but I think this isn't exactly what you were meant to do, Cheryl. And I'm so glad that I had met you and could be along for the journey with you because you are definitely making the world a better place.
Well, good thing I put on waterproof mascara. But honestly, thank you. And I honestly hope that more people get to walk in their purpose and understand that like it might not come up right away. Like I know people that were came out of the womb playing the piano and they're like, this is what I've been always supposed to be doing. Sometimes it takes a while for you to collect the information that you need in order to say, oh, this is who I am and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it can also change. So coming in that space of deep satisfaction, I don't know, it's like a really great deep dish pizza, a vegan deep dish pizza that is.
Well,
Satisfying and cruelty free.
I think that's a perfect ending with deep satisfaction for your life, for your loves, for your future. And with that said, Cheryl, thank you so much for being on the show. It was so much fun to catch up with you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Wow Party Podcast. If you're an entrepreneur or professional who would like to be on this podcast, please visit boomtownmarketing.com and click on podcast. We believe that every business has the potential to change the world for good, and we want to support our community to help make the world more ethical, compassionate, and sustainable for all future generations to come. And if you're looking to build your business, no matter what level you're at now, request your free marketing consultation at boomtownmarketing.com and click Get Started.